everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Another video on the Subaru. More of a progress video at this point, because I didn't have time to get done the project I had planned, and I'm not going to have time to get it done before this weekend. But what we got done last week was we fitted the new tires and wheels, and we started making, test fitting everything to make sure that we could actually drive it down the road. When we left off last week, here's a couple pictures of what it looked like. So as you can tell from those pictures, it is not the best fitment at that point. The tires stick out, I think, a little over 2 inches past the fender wells, or past the fenders. And in Washington State, you're required to have your tire covered, or your tread is required to be covered by your fender. So in order to maintain being legal, I had to come up with a way to cover the tires. And what I came up with, in my opinion, is a pretty cool idea. I modified the front fenders, the factory fenders, and here, why don't I just show you guys and then I'll explain it in a minute. There you go. That's some pretty serious modification of that car. Just a second. Got somebody pulling up. And we're back. My cousin had to stop by and make sure I know I'm invited to the graduation this year. So, back to the car. What's more important? We got the fenders flared out, and I think it looks good. I haven't seen many people do them this way. I decided to stretch them instead of doing, bolt-on or clip-on fender flares. A lot of people, insist on doing things a certain way. I see, my own way of doing things, and that's the way I choose to go usually. Just like the suspension modifications on the car, everybody insists on you need to do subframe spacers, you need to do all this other stuff. Well, it doesn't gain you any ground clearance, so there's no point in my opinion. But, to each their own, and everybody's going to modify their car to suit their own taste. I cannot run a taller tire than this, so since I can't go any taller on the tire, and I can fit the tire just fine right here, and it gives me the maximum amount of lift for the least amount of overall height increase, and the maximum amount of ground clearance, why not? Now this actually turned out really well, because now, having tested the car, I've modified the rear fenders a little bit more since last week, and we've got the ability to raise the front tire on the driver's side over 12 inches off the ground, and it still touches, or the passenger side tire is still on the ground, and the suspension is all the way compressed on the rear passenger side corner. I mean, it's not like it's an RTI ramp killer, but it is a very good performing vehicle, and the suspension system will do great off-road. It'll do even better once I get into doing the drivetrain modifications, but we're not going to start doing those until after all the body modifications are done. Sorry if it looks like I'm squinting a lot. I'm trying to keep the camera out of the sun, which means I'm looking into the sun. Other than that, I've started making plans on the rear fenders. I've got a cardboard template cut out for what to cut the sheet metal like, and I'm going to hand make the rear fender flares. As you can see, I need to make sure these tires are covered. And it's about 2 inches I need to cover all the way up and over the top and down the back of them in order to be street legal. So I got to finish modifying the fender now that I've got it figured out. So all the sheet metal's cut away. I'm going to make it flush with the door, and then I'm going to take that custom piece of sheet metal, I'm going to roll it up and over, and make a smooth transition flare out of it. And then we're going to, we'll do some custom work after I get to that point. I just need to get to that point so I can take the car down and get a full alignment done on the body, on the suspension. After that, we're going to start working on the fenders. On the front fenders, I need to build brackets for to give them mounting points because they're not secure now that I've cut half the fender off of it, like a lot of people do. But by pulling the fenders the way I did, it saved me from having to cut the fenders about a little over 2 inches out in order to get clearance to have the tire and the suspension move at all. So that makes a big difference. This was a much easier route, and in my opinion, it looks better than the bolt-on fender flares. So, other than that, we had to do some serious modifications to the underbody of the car. Both driver's side fender wells are that way, and so are the rears. The rears were easier. I just split the body seam, and I'll weld it back together once I'm done. The fronts, I have to beat it out of the way, figure out where that point is. Now, I'm going to run it this year like it is, not try and go around doing too much modifications at once. If I try to, overdo the modifications, I'll end up, making the car not ready in time for the Gambler 500 event. So, we're going to stick to getting it just done and running, or done and driving for the event. We're going to put the rock sliders on with the belly pan mostly. We're redesigning the front skid plate to a more cut down version than the big one I ran last winter. And we're going to add the rear tube bumper. So the car is going to look completely done, and it's going to look amazing. In my opinion, it'll look amazing. We're going to get it set up, and as I said, we're going to take it down and get the alignment done. And I'm also going to modify the hood for some ventilation so that the engine stays cooler or has more airflow over it. We're going to modify the winch bumper if I keep it, if it doesn't sell here in the next week or two. If I sell it in the next week or two, I'm going to build a new winch bumper out of tubing because I now have the tubing bender and I can go crazy with this stuff. I can build much nicer looking parts in my opinion. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to be doing. And also the rock sliders next week. Those are going to be good looking in my opinion. Well, once I'm done, they'll be good looking, I think. And they'll be functional, and that's the key point. I couldn't find any ways that I liked the way people mounted rock sliders. So once again, I'm just building my own stuff. And I'm not even going to try and really copy anybody. I'm just going to build what I think fits. And right now, we have over 12 inches of ground clearance. By the time I add the rock sliders, I'm going to go with 1-inch tubing, so we're going to cut down the ground clearance to about 11 inches, which it sucks to lose an inch of ground clearance, but it is what it is. I got to protect the engine and transmission, and if I'm doing that, I'm losing that inch of ground clearance anyway, so I might as well add the rest of the rock sliders in and protect the fuel tank and everything at the back and all the body structure that I can. I did damage some of the body structure by beating out that fender well. So, eventually, once I go back in and I redo the car later on, I'll rebuild that and I'll upgrade it and make it stronger. And the car's going to be going through a whole list of modifications later on. Now, unfortunately, it's going to be a much slower car this year, which, after last year, a slow car is not a good thing, and slower than that car is really not a good thing. But with the added over 6 inches of ground clearance, and the fact that we're adding air conditioning to the car this year, well, it'll be a much more comfy ride, and I'll be able to shoot a better video out of it. That's what the hopes are. So, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope you can stick around for next week, because next week we're definitely doing the hand-cut fenders. They'll be in the video, because I have the sheet metal over there, and I'm going to get started on those probably tomorrow afternoon. While this video is uploading. And also, once we're done with all the body modifications and the car's, being driven and it's tested and it's ready for the Gambler 500, I'm going to start figuring out what to do for the motor. Because the motor, we need more horsepower. The 108 horsepower, when this car's done, is not going to cut it. It'll get me through the events, but it won't do what I want to do in the long run. So we're really going to be having to start making something that makes a lot of power, which I haven't decided on what to do yet, and I'm kind of flip-flopping. But I can guarantee you this, there will be a forced induction engine being built for this car. Anyway, that's my build so far. I hope everybody enjoys the video, and I hope you stick around for the next videos. I have less than a month and a half to get this car done and ready and to the event. I mean, today's the 1st of June, and the event starts on the 13th of July. So I've got a month and 12 days, roughly. So a month and 10 days, comfortably, to do this. At the most. So, a little over 5 weeks. So, we'll get that done, and we'll be, I'm going to throw some basic maintenance at the car, try and get the most out of it that I can for horsepower and torque. And I hope everybody enjoys the videos. I hope you stick around. And if you want, feel free to subscribe to the channel, or feel free to follow me on Twitter or Instagram. I'm far more active on Instagram, and the updates come more regularly. Like I did these when I was modifying the fenders. That was step by step done on Instagram. Followed up the whole day. So anyways, I hope everybody enjoys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.